we need to position ourselves a little bit better here, Hank, so we're both square on the screen there. So, hey everybody, we have had incredible technical issues tonight, and I've been doing this for a good many years, and we have never ever had the kind of issues we're having right now. So no intro music, no intro deal here, and I'm believing that we're actually live with you here tonight. So if not, well, someone call me, someone text me, someone let me know that we're talking into the air, but I trust we're actually on the air, and according to our computer, we're actually on Facebook and YouTube Live. So welcome everybody to Tuesday night. Dave Martin here with Living Supernaturally with yours truly and friends. And I actually have a friend tonight besides the Holy Spirit. I mean, usually, Frank, we always do this whole Dave Martin and friends.
Okay.
And there's nobody here.
No friends.
Well,
just you and the Holy Spirit.
Me and the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
Yeah, but we always have a good time together. But tonight I have a very special guest, and with the challenges that we've been having, actually I'm looking at the old camera, and here we're down here tonight. We bought this new camera that's really high tech, and it's not wanting to work with the software. So talk about old school. We're using the webcam on the computer. And it is what it is, and you know what's most important tonight is the content that we have, and I'm telling you, we are broadcasting a cutting-edge show, different than what we normally do, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you whether or not you like this or not. In again, all the years we've been doing this, I think it's 7 years, we've been doing a Tuesday night show. This is unlike any show we've ever done before because it's informative to you relative to a reality of what's going on in the world that we live in. Now here's my justification for this. Because we're teaching you how to walk in the Spirit, teaching you how to walk in the supernatural as it would be, how to operate with authority and power and use the name of Jesus and do what Jesus did. I'm telling you, we're in a day, we're in an age when all that we've learned needs to be applied. And when you hear what this man sitting next to me has to share, you're going to understand that a whole bunch more. I got the opportunity of meeting Hank, gosh, maybe a month ago. Maybe about a month ago. Yeah. Maybe 3 weeks. But we've been involved in a group here in Tulsa. And you know, so I see him at a distance, but never really met him personally until, as I say, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we drove together to Oklahoma City for the not really the inauguration. It was the prayer for the new governor. And phenomenal thing what's going on here in Oklahoma with our governor. He's a protege of President Trump, no political experience whatsoever, but a very successful businessman, and on top of that, more importantly, but the skills he's bringing in are awesome. He's an on-fire Christian, and goes to Assembly of God Church here in Tulsa, and God said, I want you to go and run for governor. So we'll talk about that another night, because I think we're going to actually get some people from his office here as a guest as well, coming days or months, I should say. But in any event, his first order of business as governor was having the city elders, and that's the group that we're a part of. It's a combination of spiritual leaders, business leaders, and political leaders. And we meet once a week. We have judges, senators, leading business people, leading pastors from all over the city that are part of this ministry, our weekly group called City Elders. But anyway, we traveled to Oklahoma City, and the governor's first order of business was having us pray for him. That was pretty awesome.
It's a big group.
It's a big group.
Yeah, and a lot of, I think there was a choir. There were 300 people in the choir.
300, yeah, can you imagine?
That was a lot of people.
Impressive.
Yeah, and then other special music and a lot of good speakers. Actually, I was surprised how moving it was. You know, I thought it was going to be real stuffy and, you know, all pomp and circumstance, but it was extremely emotional. That's what surprised me.
Yeah,
did that stick out that way to you too? Did it strike you that way?
Yeah, it was very emotional. But hey, I don't want to get too caught up on that, because we have a lot of content here tonight. You can't read this, But I asked Hank, I said, put a couple questions down that I can ask you, like an interview tonight to kind of get this thing going. And he gave me 18 questions. And I said, Hank, we got enough of a time for maybe 3 or 4 of these.
Well, we'll probably cover 2 of them pretty well.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. But here's what happened. We spent the time together traveling to Oklahoma City, and he was telling me about this book that he's been writing. How long have you been writing on that book?
I've been working on the subject matter since early 2017, and actually compiling the book for about 8-9 months now. So yeah, every bit of that.
So lots and lots of research here, but I'd like you to welcome with me, I want to say doctor, but it's author Hank Bailey.
And barely that, yes.
You know, actually, it dawned on me, I met you like 2 years ago. You came into the office
That's right. We're talking like we just met, but I came and sat in your office for 2 or 3 hours, probably a year or 2 ago.
Yeah, as we were starting.
But that was not memorable.
Oh, come on. I know now why God says that, don't lay hands on people suddenly, because you get that slap anointing. He was so impressed he probably put up with himself, because we shared with him the Grace Book Vision.
True.
And the prayer app, which is just phenomenal, and hoping to give you some updates on that real soon. We took off, not we took off, but we submitted some grants last May, to finish the whole project, and I thought we'd get funded in 30 days. But discovered the average time is like 9 or more months to get approval. So anyway, it's not our topic tonight. Hank wrote a book, and the book's done.
Yeah, it's done. It's final editing going on right now.
Yeah, it's final editing, but it's on what's happening in the world of technology. So Hank, give us a quick overview. How would you give an overview of the book?
Well, in the first place, it's got the weirdest title that you ever heard of. It's called Outbreak of the Global Brain. And it was a real strange thing. I didn't expect to get into this at all. But I'm part of a group of approximately 50 people who are a part of a larger organization. And in this group of 50 people, they assigned me the task of finding out what's going on with a global brain. And of course, I'm thinking, there's nothing going on with a global brain. There's no such thing as a global brain. And if there were, nobody would have anything to do with a global brain. And our government wouldn't let a global brain take over. Not only that, Americans like their own brain. They enjoy letting their own brain be their playground, But nonetheless, I got involved in this, and I'm not at liberty to tell you who the major organization is, because even though our group of 50 or so people discovered this information and we got that, the overriding mother organization has not reviewed our results yet, and so their name can't be on it. So I'm very comfortable with what we came up with, that it's very accurate, very true. And but people are usually very comfortable the day before they get fired, so I won't put their name on this yet. Nonetheless, I started investigating, and in my investigation I found out that there actually is a technological thing called the global brain, and that it's actually coming to America very soon.
Coming to a
theater near you? Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's coming to everything near you.
Now, you say there is such a thing as a global brain. Like where? I mean, is like in the United Nations? Is it in their government? Is it NSA? I mean, who has the global brain?
Well, the actual global brain itself will be coming out of Europe, and it won't disappoint most of us who've been alive as long as we have, that yes, the UN has their hands on it, and yes, it is coming from there. It is not actually originating here in the United States, but it is coming from Europe, and it's got a scheduled date on it that's much too soon to make anybody comfortable. It'll make people surprised.
And is that date a secret?
Well, it's not actually a secret. Let me just go ahead and jump the gun and say you will feel the effects of the global brain within the next 18 months quite heavily. And first off, let me tell you what a global brain is. What a global brain is...
You ready for this?
Yeah. It's, let's see if I know this material at all now.
Yeah,
the global brain is actually a technological thing where it is a combination of artificial intelligence and connectivity with people and with the public. And so the global brain is they actually have a definition for it, which I wrote out in the book. And the term global brain was not invented by conspiracy theorists or by me or anybody else. It is actually coined, that name is coined by the creators of the global brain and those that intend to bring it to us and have it take over. So naturally, I was a little bit stupefied when I heard, okay, there's a global brain. That's great. But my thought was, who would ever let this happen? Who would ever let this take over their life? In fact, the U.S. government would stop it. We're the land of the home and home of the free and the brave. We do what we want to do. It's life, liberty, or give me death, you know. But then why would we accept a global brain? And that's what I spent quite a bit of time on in my book, figuring out why is it that people would accept the global brain and what is it? And then how do you stop it if the people want it? If the public actually wants it more than anything, who is going to stop it? And that's one of the things that I ran into and discovered.
So you said you went somewhere and discovered this. So is it something that people can Google global brain and find it, or where do you find it?
All right, it's probably been 18 months since I Googled global brain. Okay, I've been into things that were a little more rewarding for me than that. You know, finding I wanted facts. Once I find out there's a global brain, you know, I'm an ex-cop. Oh, if somebody tells me on Google, hey, there's a global brain, oh yeah, I believe you. You know, I'm buying into that, and oh yeah, that'll be your little secret, but it's not going to affect me because me and my family, we aren't taking any global brain. You know, we're not for that. It's not going to happen here. Well, I found out. We don't have a choice. This is something that's very powerful and that's coming, it's very widespread. And in a nutshell, what it is technology has changed. Technology has changed beyond the point to what we actually realize. There is so much technology out there that the normal Joe public is just not aware of, does not know it's there. We think that we are in tune with the latest technology because we've gone and seen what's available at Best Buy or what you can buy online. No, the greatest technology in the world is going on behind people's back. And what this global brain entails, it entails several different things at once. So in the book, I was unable to just tell you, oh, here's where the global brain's coming, here's the date it's showing up, and here's what brand name it'll have on it, so that when it shows up at your house, you can reject it, okay? Well, it is true that the technology behind the global brain is the technology that will fulfill end-time Bible prophecy. There's no doubt. So as we get into this in more detail, we'll find out that this global brain is a real thing, and it's part of something bigger, and it's part of a major movement, a culture and a movement. So it's not just one piece of technology we have to deal with here. I found out while investigating that there was a global brain. I wanted proof of this. I wanted to prove who's got it, when's it coming, who's pushing the agenda. Well, when I started finding this out, I stumbled accidentally across 3 United States government agencies that have their own artificial intelligence that already is spying on us and controlling every single person, everything you do, down to every website you go to, every phone call you make, every text you have ever made, every conversation you have anywhere near your phone. It is all being logged. And I found out that there's a technology called a quantum computer. And a quantum computer is what is running the artificial intelligence that is actually overseeing the entire spy industry. So I ended up having to break this down in the book to go, okay, where is the threat really coming from? And I found out it's from 4 different places at the same time. This is why it required a book rather than a pamphlet. Okay? It'd be real easy to tell you that X company is sending a global brain on December 15th of 2019. You know, it'd be just a little 1-page pamphlet. But when it's coming from 4 different major areas, and the U.S. government has their own version, and other countries have their own version, and then the UN is coming from another place, and this, we haven't even touched on the fact that the commercial industry right now has 5 or 6 major companies that are absolutely mining people's personal data and selling it. We're being farmed. So this is why I was going to tell you, got to ask specific questions. Otherwise, I try to give an overview on something so big and so huge, you can't do it. There you have it.
I blew it. But you know what? I mean, you know, what I can hear in people's minds is, David, how did you do this, that you brought a conspiracy theorist into our program?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. help them to understand this isn't conspiracy theory. It's a matter of this is what's going on in these different agencies, and they're putting all the information together. And I know we had this conversation in the car, so I feel confident in asking the questions. I know the answer.
Well, good. I'm not so sure that I'm really familiar with my material. It's so mind-boggling. I have to read my own book over and over and over. It's not a book you can read one time, even though. So the good thing about the book is I bring the reader along the journey with me, finding out what I found out as I go, so that it actually builds a foundation, and we establish each fact before moving on to another one. So you don't think that you're basing your whole theory something on a theory. It's no theory whatsoever. I start out in the book by actually introducing us to about 6 technologies that have emerged all of a sudden onto the scene. And I explain what the technologies are and what they in general do, and why these technologies have all of a sudden catapulted us forward in time. We've moved forward in time at an astonishing rate. And the sad thing is, you can't put these genies back in the bottle. You can't take these 6 technologies and tell the people who own them and who are finding different usages for them and have sold their licenses of it to several different organizations, and it's coming from different places. You can't put that back in a box.
Right.
You can't tell them, you know what, that could lead somewhere bad and we don't want to go there. No, we are past that point. And that's what I point out in the book, that there are 6 technologies that are right now being used and utilized, that because these technologies are here and they're live and they're being used, it's no longer an issue of should we? Because see, some of this technology is on the same level of national security here in the United States as nuclear weapons. So this is what we're facing right now. Because the technologies are here, they are presenting some very serious ramifications. But what we have found out as a government and as a world is this. This technology is here. It's no longer a choice whether to use it or put it back in the box. Now the only race is who can capture this stuff out of this box and conquer it and utilize it and be the master of it before the next person. Because whoever masters this technology, even President Putin said, whoever masters this technology will rule the world. So there is a race going on. So there's a new arms race going on, and this arms race is really not for the missiles that you're hearing about and the super hyper glide missiles Russia and China are testing right now. That arms race is not as important as this arm race to conquer artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and a global brain through connectivity. And this all coincides with something very special that's coming along right now, that every one of you who is a skeptic of what we're talking about will accept it and be the first one to buy it. And what it will be is your new 5G phone. So the 5G network that's coming along very soon, it's already in some cities here in the United States, and it will be in most major cities by the end of 2019. When this 5G system comes in, this is the super highway on which artificial intelligence and these quantum computers will have connectivity to everybody and everything in the world. And this is one of the moves toward the global brain. Okay? Now, did that make any sense to you?
Yeah. Kind of putting some pieces together here, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but I mean, what I do know is people like Facebook are mining data.
Okay.
I mean, right? Every time you fill in one of those surveys, and how smart are you, or whatever, all that data is being stored, right?
Now, I take that subject that you just brought up, and I categorize that in one of the 4 threats. And I categorize Facebook as one of the commercial threats. So they are in that 1/4 quadrant that I call commercial threats, which I'll go ahead and name it: Google, Facebook, Yahoo, BAE Systems,
That's a new one. What's that?
SmithKline, and something else. There are 3 names. It's data mining. BAE Systems is right now has switched their main thrust to mining big data. I guess that's something too it's worth saying right now, since you brought up that Facebook is farming the data and stuff like that. I did write about Facebook in the book, And it was because I did an experiment with Facebook to find out what their artificial intelligence is capable of. Now, keep in mind that Mark Zuckerberg himself has said that the future of his entire company is completely hinged on and dependent on artificial intelligence and how good a job it does. So Mark Zuckerberg's artificial intelligence is tasked with the job of keeping people engaged on their site and responding to their emotions, their needs, their likes, in order to keep them engaged. Because the actual secret of Facebook is to keep as many users engaged on the site as many seconds per day as possible, and sharing as much data as they can. Because if you remember, what was the name of that company? They just got pulled in front of Congress, Facebook did, for their association with Cambridge Analytics.
Right.
Okay, do you remember that on the news? All right, so in case you think we're making this up, no, go back and read your news stories, Google Cambridge Analytics and Facebook, and you will find that more than we will tell you tonight, the Senate Investigative Committee heard and testifying before Congress. They were actually selling all of the personal data of everything people were doing on Facebook to Cambridge Analytics. And Cambridge Analytics is not even one of the ones I named in this commercial what I'd call conglomerate that are spying on us daily. Now, see, I can talk in depth with you about the United States government agencies that are spying on us. I can tell you why. I can tell you how. I can tell you who built their computers, and I can tell you the parameters under which these computers search your personal data. I can tell you all of that. That's in the book, and we could discuss that. But this Facebook stuff and BAE Systems and all the people that I name in the commercial realm, they're mining your data 100%, not to save you, not to keep a terrorist from killing you, but in order to monetize you, to make money off you, to cash in on you. And the deeper and the more private the information, the more they get paid per customer for this data. And it's really funny that we live in a country where, oh, you have to sign this to release information, or we can't speak to you about your own account because you didn't give us the right information. It's such a facade that we are protecting your information when even the credit agencies themselves, the ones who have a fiduciary duty to us, have been mining our data and selling it. I did not even name them in the commercial sector because I'm going for the big ones that have one dream and one dream only, and that's to capture every bit of data that you have on you and everybody else around you and sell it. This is all part of a large movement called data mining. And what it is based on is this. You have to understand this concept before any of the other concepts start making sense. And what it is this. A concept was brought forward and put on the table that, like in the old days, we used to look for something in particular in a haystack. We were looking for a particular needle in the haystack of information. That we needed that needle for some reason. There's something we needed to solve. There's something we needed to know about a particular person. That's the old days. Now, in the new day and age of data mining, the theory is this. If you will collect enough information on enough people for long enough, you don't need to have a reason for gathering the data. The data, if you have a way to process all that data, it will start to offer you patterns you didn't know you were looking for. It will start to turn up information you didn't even search for. It will invent and create the need that you didn't even know existed, because it will create a new reason to have the data by telling you things you didn't know the data could tell you. Right. So in this mining of big data, because processors have become so efficient at gathering all this information and knowing what to do with it, now new algorithms and patterns of things have emerged that are valuable because they can be monetized. There are certain things they can learn about people, particularly one of the most recent things I found out was drug companies are very interested in the habits of people. And they put a lot of research and place a lot of value in knowing particular wants, desires, reactions, habits of people in developing certain drugs. Who'd have thunk it? I didn't know. I mean, they would be willing on a particular drug to spend $300 million simply doing a thorough market survey of certain people's likes and dislikes before getting a certain drug out. Now, that's kind of a boring subject to me. It's not very cool. It's not fun to talk about. So we'll skip that. But I just wanted to let you know this information is valuable to so many different people for different reasons that you wouldn't be able to imagine them. But it's almost like even, I was doing some studying this week on Walmart. Walmart themselves, they have two different fingers in the same pie. One of them is the way they're tied in with our U.S. military, but the other one is that they're wanting to monetize all the information that they can gather from you as a Walmart shopper. You know?
Yeah, think about this.
Uh-huh.
Every item you buy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the toothpaste you buy, the bug spray you buy. You know, if you're buying bug spray and you're buying camping gear, you know, there's something there that tells about you by what you buy.
They know whether I like the thick toilet paper or the thin stuff and try to fold it more times. I mean, is that not personal? They know this. And you know, there's a computer that's actually thinking about this. Now, everything we've talked about so far is just information. It's just companies. It's boring. If we start talking in detail about the two government agencies and what they're doing, that starts to get very exciting. I mean, it's like, oh boy, that is some mystery stuff, and that's my favorite part of the book.
I listened to a lot of alternative news because you know you're not going to hear the truth on the fake news stuff because it's all controlled. But there's a lot of people in the alternative news arena that are talking about the reality that the National Security Agency has everything on us.
Okay, so did you just bring up the NSA?
Did I? Well,
is that what the National Security Agency? Okay.
Yeah, I did that, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Okay, well, let's talk about them briefly just to put this in line. The NSA is one of 17 major, well, not all major, but 17 spy agencies, official spy agencies in the country. You got the NSA, you've got the CIA, you've got the NGA, you've got the, who else do we have? The CIA, I said that. There's so many. It's 17.
Like car insurance?
They spy on you more than you think. Don't get me started on AAA. That's the wrong subject tonight. Nonetheless, these spy agencies, all of them, they're all kind of tied together now. They didn't used to be, but now there's a new program that we talk about in the book because there's new computer technology that instead of having them be competing agencies, they now all work under the same program called the EyeSight program. But it is not eyesight like your eyes. It's an acronym. ICITE. I think, let's see, what is that? Intelligence Community Integrated Technology Enterprise. That's what it is. The Intelligence Community's Integrated Technology Enterprise. That's a fancy way of saying we have a quantum computer that does our spying for all of us, and we just share the information, access it when we need it. Okay? Now, that, of course, would be a quantum computer. A quantum computer is a totally different subject that we have to talk about in the book and expose what a quantum computer does versus a conventional computer and how different they are.
Can I pause you for just a second? I like to bring things down to just a real layman's perspective.
Okay.
So before we get into quantum computers, you mentioned the 5G network.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm telling you, that is powerful. I mean, you can probably give me some exact numbers, but I was explaining to my wife a couple of days ago. I said it's like right now on our cell phone, if we wanted to download a full video, it might take a minute or two. 5G, how long would it take?
Well, you could probably do a 3 gigabyte movie, 4 gigabyte movie in high definition in about 3 seconds, probably.
3 seconds.
Yeah.
We're talking hundreds of times faster.
Yes. Right now, what the projected thing is, if we went somewhere in the country and found the fastest internet that there is available today, the very fastest at the highest load, we could go to 5G. The average 5G connection anywhere in the world on somebody's little cell phone, a 14-year-old girl could have a cell phone that will actually access speeds over 100 times faster than the fastest internet in the world right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we're talking about technology today operating at incredible faster speeds, which means they can mine it, and then they can bring in something else you talk about, machine learning, and how the computers will predict your behavior, right? They'll predict what you may or may not do. But it's so incredible with where we're going with technology. Now we bring in this quantum computer, which now you can. So take your computer right now, and as good as your computer is right now, processing speed, imagine thousands of times faster.
Now, what we just did was we just jumped and bridged from the NSA that we were talking about all the way over to 5G, 5G phone system, and then started talking about a quantum computer.
But no, it's all together, right?
Well, yes, it's coming all together, and they all work together, but they're different subjects, okay? Let me touch back on the NSA. NSA is the biggest spy organization in the country, by far.
But from your research, I mean, people are not going to believe this, that they're really collecting every phone call, every...
This is why I'm going back to the NSA. The NSA was called before Congress, what was it, a year and a half ago? No, it was during the last year of the Obama administration. Loretta Lynch and Obama were both under fire in front of Congress and the Senate and were grilled for unmasking information on people that maybe they shouldn't have been unmasking, okay? And what the real issue was this. It wasn't so much that, okay, you shouldn't have unmasked those people. You shouldn't have done that. You had no right to be looking for them. That was part of the truth. The real truth was this. How come that information was available in the first place to be unmasked? And that was the big deal. They found out that the NSA... They even admitted that they were gathering all of this information on everybody all day long. But it's innocent because it only gets called out when we unmask it. So it doesn't even exist if we didn't unmask it, does it? Because a computer simply did all this, and you know, a computer's nothing more than a file cabinet. So if it's an inanimate object and it spied on you and took all of this information on you and then kept it in its little electronic file until a person like Loretta Lynch walked in and turned around and unmasked it, it didn't exist, did it? It was a non-existent, but you know what? The government, everybody was screaming mad. So you saw Lieutenant General James Clapper step forward, who was the head of the NSA at the time, and turns around and makes a beaming statement that it's okay. We are no longer unmasking this stuff. You can rest assured. We no longer now are spying on people. Well, what we find out was in 2017, immediately following this statement, that the NSA gathered 3 times as much data the following year after he made that statement than he did when than they did before when everybody was upset. Exactly 3 times. This is why the biggest buildings are being built in the housing of these computers that are all lined up with cooling buildings bigger than this building we're in. This is a rather large building we're in here. The cooling buildings alone, just to run the coolant through the computers that the NSA says, they're a technological marvel, just the whole way that's set up. Because all of this information is being held by the NSA, who is still the largest spy agency and still have the most employees by up to 3 times of the NGA. But before...
Now, NGA, I never heard of that before.
I know. You know what? This is one of the biggest secrets that I spill in the book. And what's funny is you go, oh, okay, this book, it's full of all these secrets. How can it be? Well, you know what? The NGA is definitely here. It's the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. And if you say, well, I've never heard of them. Well, that's why I wrote the book. It's not because they don't exist. It's because we haven't heard of them. But I tell you the background of who the NGA is and where they started from. And you know what? We did want to talk about 5G, but why don't we save that for toward the end of the program? Okay. Ask me again about 5G. No matter where I am, give me 5 minutes to talk about 5G to tell you what it really is and where it's really coming from, okay? Because that's very important. But the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency is an old spy agency called NIMA, N-I-M-A, the National Imagery and Mapping Agency. So all they were known for was making maps. That was their job to put coordinates, geospatial coordinates on each object in the world, such as a river, a bridge, a road, a building, anything that they needed to have coordinates on. It's marked and mapped by this National Imagery and Mapping Agency. This little agency has been building maps and stuff since World War II. And doing a real good job at it. But they're kind of a benign little agency. They don't have people running around in black suits with the black tie and little earbuds in. They're not little secret agents. They sit in there working on maps. But see, something happened We know it as 9/11. And on 9/11, when this plane was still burning in the yard of the Pentagon, and we were trying to find our president and our vice president and find out where Bush and Cheney had been for the last 24 to 48 hours, and we still had an airliner burning in the middle of a pasture or field in Pennsylvania, NIMA, the National Imagery and Mapping Agency, was still being called on heavily. The phones were still ringing. There were no planes in the air. The skies were frozen. Airports were frozen. The New York Stock Exchange was closed down. But there were people below the level of the president and the vice president that were saying, get me coordinates on where that plane's burning. I want to know what roads lead in there. We need to know how to get our people in there. They're calling and going, give me a tracking on where that airliner came in and crashed into the Pentagon. This little mapping agency, when half these people are crying and in tears trying to watch the news and trying to find out what's going on in one ear while they're getting phone calls in the other ear demanding that something be done. And you want to know who their leader was at that time? Just so happens that 2 days after 9/11, that 9/11 happened on a Tuesday morning. On Thursday, there was a new head and director of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, which was then called NIMA still, that was scheduled to walk in the doors Thursday morning at 8 o'clock. His name was one you'll be familiar with because we just talked about him a minute ago. Is none other than Lieutenant General James Clapper, who is assigned to take this over on that day in 9/11. So when he walks in there on Thursday, and half his crew is still in tears, and they're trying to get these phone calls put down and figure out what they can do to fight back with nothing but information. How could they fight back? They realized, James Clapper says, I realized that morning we were in a war and we had to fight back, but it was against a new enemy, and we just did the best we could. So he said what he did was he called and scheduled an off-site, took everybody out of that building, because see, they didn't know if they were safe or not. They didn't know if more bombings were coming, more planes were going to be coming in. They didn't know if things were planted. So they got out of that office, and they did what they call a little weekend off-site. And when they came back the following Monday morning, they had a new game plan. And that little agency called NIMA grew and moved from a static information type little agency. They fought their way back with information and new technology until they started delivering what they call dynamic content. Now, if I start to describe to you today what dynamic content is, that they are proud to be able to give their customer, the U.S. military, this dynamic content is one of the reasons we have no privacy. They need to know where every human being is at any time of the day. They need to know what phone calls, who they know, where they are. And I could break that down and tell you what the parameters are they're searching. But that now the 9/11 is the main reason why that technology was harnessed so aggressively in order to try to bring some protection to the citizens of the United States of America.
So it was actually meant for good.
Once technology is here, Dave, this is my point. Once technology arrives, somebody's going to use it. Fortunately for us right now, the NIMA changed its name to the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Because technology improved from that time till now, they went from trying to map and put a geospatial coordinate on every stationary, man-made, or natural occurring phenomena or object. They moved toward the Holy Grail, which is they wanted to track moving objects. And it started with they wanted to track airliners, trucks, buses, cars, boats, sea-doos, motorcycles, all the way down to what I called the Holy Grail. Every human being on the planet, they need now to know where you are.
And with our cell phones, they have that.
Well, you see, that's an obsolete piece of information I just told you. We've moved way past trying to predict where a person is. We don't even care that we know where you are now. They don't even care that they know where you were yesterday and how you got there. Do you know what they are actually determined to figure out?
Where I'm going.
Where you are going next, what you're going to do. It doesn't do any good to know what you did yesterday if they can't predict what you're going to do first thing in the morning. And that's how far this intelligence has come
And that's part of the machine learning that brings us to the global
There
brain.
you go. There you go. And in my book, I go ahead and I back us up to 2012 and 2013 when this machine that I name by name was learning how to defend our soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan on the battlefield. And I talk in the book about how that battle-tested machine learned and then came and was put into the streets of America. I named the date, the time, how, when, and where. Okay? This is not a conspiracy theory, folks. If there's one thing that I'm proud about in this book called Outbreak of the Global Brain, it's that I'm very courteous and thoughtful and take my time building a bridge with information that I can prove with references, facts, and out of the horse's mouth. Everything we say in the book, and bring you along slowly, kindly, and courteously so that you don't ever have to feel like, oh, this is a conspiracy theory. Now, this book is not here to change your life. If you said, what is my goal in this book? There's two goals that I have. Number one, for people in general, I want you to know what time it is on the universal time clock, which we know belongs to God. I want you to know what time it is, and I can prove it through this book. The second thing I want to do is reach people who will know when they read this. They'll be technologically smart. Some of the millennials and the X generation that's come along, when they read this, they will know it's true, but they don't have a relationship with God. One of my biggest, purposes behind the book is to point them toward the truth of where this is taking them. And if I take 28 chapters of totally secular information and prove the point about what's going on in the world around them, by that point, if they've stayed with me for 28 chapters, I'll have an opportunity to show them in the last 2 chapters what it means in their life and what their alternative is spiritually. That is what I'm proud of. That it really works.
Yeah, so it's a soul-winning book.
It is for me. I mean, you know what? As soon as the Christian faith is full of so many people that are like beaking baby birds in a nest, like, beak, beak, feed me, give me the newest thing. I want the newest book on Revelation. I want the newest book on relationships. I want the newest fad on this and that. Well, certainly, I'm hoping that same hunger, beak, beak, tell me the truth, tell me something I don't know. I hope that works for this book, because that's my main concern is not Christian people learning. They should have other alternative ways to know what to do with their time. They should have other alternate ways other than my book to know what they're supposed to be doing. Now, my book will shove people forward when they read it and realize where we are and what time it is. Wow. It is an eye-opener. It's like... It really is actually helpful because, to me, it's a faith-building book. You cannot read this information and see how it coincides with what the Bible warned us about. And I bring all the pieces together for you. You cannot not have a stronger faith. If you're out there saying, oh, no, I'm a Christian. I don't need your conspiracy theories. I don't need this or that. I'm going to tell you this, or all I need is God, and I need this. Well, you know what? You're going to be affected by this book probably more than the average person, because it's going to make you realize how much everything outside of church is matching what we were told.
Right.
And it's funny how there's a song that says, let's see, this was a song that came out in the early 70s, maybe, or 60s. It said, years of time have come and gone since I first heard it told, how Jesus would come back again someday. But you know, if back then it seemed so real, then I just can't help but feel how much closer his coming is today.
That's good.
Yeah. You know, so it's like this book will show you it was not a joke. In fact, in the end of the book, I even compare exactly what the similarities are between what went on in Noah's day just before the great flood and where civilization was wiped out, and what will be going on in the next few years in our day that is exactly incredibly coincidentally, exactly what was going on in Noah's day. And it wasn't eating, drinking, and giving in marriage. It's something far more technical than that was going on. And I bring this together in the book and show you exactly the incredible coincidence that lines up to show that the Bible was true all along. So no, I'm not really interested in conspiracy theory. I am interested in a theory that matches 100% what God told us a long time ago and tells you exactly in detail now how it's going to happen. Now, we've just barely touched on stuff here. I haven't even touched on the U.S. military and their thing, because I want to make sure that I say before we end what 5G is and how it fits into all of this. So you might want to.
Yeah, we got like 12 minutes left.
Okay.
And I trust you're enjoying this. And hey, I want to hear from you. I really do. I want to hear from you. This is so different than what we normally do. And let me tell you this, by the way, too. Also, next week, Tuesday night, I have an apologist coming in, Jim Burkett. Do you know Jim?
He's great. I know him. In fact, my first presentation that I gave on this global brain, the first or second one, Jim was there, and he actually had a question for me, and he taught me something. It was great.
He is like one of the #1 apologetics people in the world. He knows the scriptures
He's
so good. But anyway, he's going to be my guest next Tuesday night. Can't do it live because he's doing some major conference next week, but he's coming in this Friday, and we're going to record the show that will be presented next Tuesday night. But seriously, I do want to hear from you, because this is
if they have a question that we haven't addressed about this, have them send that in. On the next time we get together, we can tackle those questions first. That'd be cool.
So I need to hear from you that you want to have this guy back again.
Oh,
and
man.
if I hear enough, that's good, David. Well, we'll have him back. Now, also, the book is not published yet.
No.
So it's going to, and different publishers are looking at it right now, so it's not finalized. But thinking that we might have some people that might want to get a head start and get a pre-release copy.
Oh, yeah.
We worked out a way to do that. So do you want to explain it?
Well, here's what I would like. It always helps when you launch a book. It's important that when you launch the book that you launch it with a bunch of momentum. You don't want to put a book out and it start dribbling and stuff. What happens in the first couple days is critically important. So it would really be helpful too, if this thing goes on Amazon, to have some reviews of people who have already read the book.
Right.
So I think what I've done, I'm sending you a pre-published review version of this book, a survey version, so that whichever people want to go ahead and purchase a shot of this book now and look at it, see what questions they have, and then also send us a review. Get us a review on it, comment, things they liked about it, things they didn't like about it. But I've had a few people read it at this point, and I got to tell you, it's a life changer. Actually, seriously, I can say with all confidence, it is a life changer.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the reason I brought this thing about conspiracy theory is I've had enough conversation with Hank to know, and I know enough about the research I've done relative to technology, that what he's sharing is real. I mean, artificial intelligence doesn't even touch on something that is coming, which is called the Internet of Things.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on that yet.
But the Internet of Things,
or artificial intelligence, we haven't really even touched on it.
I mean, the predictive ability of artificial intelligence combined with machine learning, they did research where they had computers just look at pictures of animals and cats. But what was amazing, after looking at like 10,000 pictures, the machine intelligence was predicting the behavior of an animal.
Well, right now there's another one and this is already maybe 3-4 years old. We're able to actually type a description into a keyboard to a computer, telling it what it is that we're talking about. And through a verbal description, which is just digital information on the keyboard, that artificial intelligence was able to paint a beautiful picture of whatever you typed in. This is not even a human that you're describing it to who has seen this before. Okay, now if you told a human that has seen mountains before or an ocean, and you told them what you're seeing, and if you described it eloquently enough and they could talk to you, it's possible that they could paint a picture that resembles what you're talking about. But we're talking about a computer that's never seen the beach, the ocean, a tree, this or these things, and all it is digital information typed into a keyboard, and it paints back an incredible picture.
It's amazing. So it's not about it's not about conspiracy. It's about, as I see it, bringing together the reality of what's happening in these multiple arenas. And I never heard the global brain concept before, but I can see it clearly. I'm looking forward to reading the book. I mean, I can see it. I can understand it.
What we've talked about tonight doesn't even start to have the effect on your mind that the book does, because of instead of us just firing off and talking from the hip, it has a very congruency to it in a way of bringing you along to where you don't have to keep skipping subjects or try to figure out if you believe this one first. You don't, in the book, it doesn't try to convince you of this thing by giving you another thing to build a case. Every single block is established before you move forward, before asking you to accept the next piece of information. There's 20 pages of references in the back of this book.
So it's what we call biblically line upon line.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, it's well established, documented,
but it's interesting.
Fact that, yeah, you can. Yeah, he's a colorful guy.
Oh no, I did a good job on the book to where it's actually a story, a little journey, and it takes you through people. And we uncover names, places, people. You know, we chase down certain things. Nobody's going to be disappointed. Tell us how long we got, because I got to tell them what 5G really is.
Real quickly, we got 8 minutes left yet. Now, I want to tell you what we worked out to do is, again, the book is not available anywhere. We will be the only place at this point, unless we work something else out, but at this point, we are the only place you can get a pre-release copy. And you said $20?
Yeah, $20. Do you want an autograph? I didn't realize it was giving you such an exclusive deal. This is awesome.
No, that format will be a digital PDF file, and it's like 500 pages, isn't it? It's
it's way over 3. I can tell you that.
I saw. I mean, I just glanced at the manuscript. I think it's 400 some pages, but whatever. It's going to come as a PDF format, and here's what you have to do. The only way you're going to be able to get it is by calling the office. Now, before we had this technology problem, just as we launched here, and our new camera didn't work, and all the slides that I had with numbers and stuff like that, none of it's available because it's not working. So again, we're old school here. It's just a webcam on the camera, and it is what it is. But here's the thing. You have to call the office. The only way you can get this is call the office and go to the website. Number's there, but it's real easy to remember. 800-543, countdown, 543, pray, P-R-A-Y, or 7729. 800-543,
That's
pray.
Cool.
So that's our number, and it's going to be $20, and we can do MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover. Can't do American Express. Visa, MasterCard, Discover. But we can take an order for you, $20, and we'll email you then the manuscript in a PDF format. So cover that, okay? But here's what is expected of you for this, and that is write a review. So again, when it goes on Amazon, he'll have however many people review it, those reviews to put up on Amazon. So.
Absolutely. That'd be super cool.
So again, and I want to know if you like this or not.
Oh yeah. If we're boring you, I could be sitting home watching TV tonight.
You're not boring, but it's different. I mean, this is just so different than my norm. So you got 5 minutes yet. Tell us about 5G.
And in reality, if you're offended by this information, keep in mind, I'm really trying to reach the atheist. I'm not, and they're smart enough to know when they read it whether or not it's for real or not. Yes. And if we didn't have the goods and the proof of it, wouldn't do any good for atheists. But
how many chapters are there?
34.
That's what I thought. 30-something.
Yeah.
So 32 chapters of facts. Hey, this is what's going on. This is the reality of technology and how it's being used, and the concerns for it. But here's how
it fits in.
Here's how you get delivered out of it.
Yeah, here's who's really in charge of the universe. And here's the only place that predicted it 2,000 years in advance.
But it is. I mean, it's exactly. Not enough time to cover this, but I mean, obviously, this is coming out of Europe. Is it coming out of Brussels?
Well, actually not coming through Brussels, but Brussels, of course, will be involved because part of this is coming under Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And, of course, Brussels is very much involved in that. But it's actually coming out of Switzerland. And I'll just tell you this, let's see, it's a Group Mobile Special out of Europe, which is a conglomerate of 500 major cell phone providers, okay? And so that's a good segue into telling you what 5G actually is.
Okay.
And that'll give us just enough time. But be sure and watch your watch so
You
that
got
I
5
know.
minutes.
Okay.
4.5.
Okay, that's fine. In the past, we had our regular cell phones that first came out. And then they came up with a 2G, which was the second generation of telephone transmission, where you transmit to me, I transmit to you. Then they came up with 3G. And all that was the third generation of how I transmit a cellular phone call from point A to point B. Then they came up with the fourth generation, 4G, which is what everybody's operating under now. So you have the fourth generation of cell phone, which you've always had these increments of here's the better version, here's the newer technology of how to broadcast a cell phone call from one place to the other. So people assume 5G is the newer fifth generation, just like the second, third, and fourth was. That's not the way it is. What's happened is where your cell phone company before was nice enough to teach you and figure out a way how to shoot your internet up onto the phone for convenience, 5G is not your fifth generation of telephone transmission. 5G is a replacement for the World Wide Web. It is an internet service, okay? And so now they are bringing, through the phone system, an entire new replacement for the world's internet system, but bringing it to you on your mobile device. And now, instead of the internet going from your home to your phone, it's the other way around. They are now bringing a new internet system that's more powerful and capable from your phone that will come down to the home and the office. All right? So they have actually, without people knowing it, slid in a brand new internet system into the entire world while you think it's just an upgrade to your cell phone. And this is one of the reasons people are going to accept it. They have to have the newest phone. They can't be the only one with the slow one. They can't be the only one. The whole world is going to accept this. It's being shoved down our throat. And the global brain, Group Mobile, at the World Mobile Congress stated that when you see us roll out the 5G network, you will see us roll out the global brain. They said that. Now, this is the most technologically advanced company in the world stating that with our newest phone system, you will see the global brain. Now, if you don't believe them, just hang on to your pants because they're smarter than you are. They're not waiting on you to decide whether they can do it or not. Later, we'll talk more about technology and things that are going on and how it's developed. And what we have talked about so far today actually is generalities. I can take you step by step through details that will blow your mind. And I think we will do that in the future if you show that you're interested in knowing where your life is headed next. Because whether you believe it or not, you're going for a ride.
Praise God for Jesus.
Yeah.
Amen. And good to know who has cleansed you through his blood. Amen. And that through that blood we have not only redemption, but through the cross we have authority, we have power, and that everything has to bow its knee to the name of Jesus.
Every knee.
Every knee. So we have nothing to fear except fear. And as the Bible says, in the last days, Daniel says, knowledge will increase. Well, this is proving to be true here. But at the same time that the natural knowledge is increased, so is the spiritual knowledge. And we're learning more and more how to operate at a higher level. And so this year, as we move forward, I'm looking forward to bringing you greater revelation and understanding how to walk at a higher level. And I believe before the year's over, we're going to be closer to the reality of the promise Jesus gave us, that by believing in him, we will do what he did and even greater.
Wow.
Amen?
That's just hard to believe.
We're coming to that.
Yeah.
I mean, but just as natural knowledge, spiritual always parallels natural. So as much as natural is increasing, watch and see. I've said this many times before, but we're going to come to a place where you want a strawberry. All you're going to have to do is say strawberry, and you're going to have a strawberry in your hand. We're going to see the sower overtake the reaper. So I love technology.
Wow.
I mean, it's kind of concerning, but all this spying going on, whether it's by government or by commercial or other people. But just remember, We have all authority and power in the name of Jesus. We read the end of the book. We win. Now, what's important, though, is that we get out of this escape mentality.
Yeah.
Because so many people are going to just pray and believe, oh, God, I'm going to be out of here before it affects me. Maybe not. So we need to occupy until he comes and walk in the fullness of our ability to reign. In Romans 5:17, it says, through the offense of one, death reigned, much more with the abundance of grace and the gift of righteousness, we shall reign. That word basilio there means to function as a sovereign, to operate as a king. And Jesus says, we are kings and we are priests. And I'm confident of this. We're in the day and an age. We're going to see the government of God that's on his shoulders rise up through the church, and you and I are going to walk at a level never ever seen before for the glory of God. Woo! I'll tell you what, I'm excited about all of this. So, hey, thank you for the privilege you've given to us tonight, speaking to your life. Hank, thank you for sharing.
You're more than welcome.
And I look forward to hearing from you. If you want to have another program like this and have this guy come back again. And next week again, another special guest, Jim Burkett. You're going to love him.
He is great.
Really an amazing man. And thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support of the ministry. It's only because of people like you that send an offering here and there and as regular as possible that we're able to do what we do and expand the ministry to see the vision fulfilled. Over 100 million souls saved, discipled, and serving God. Till next week, hey, be blessed. Have yourself a great, glorious week. And we'll see you next week, Tuesday. God bless.
Yep.